VGK looks to avenge Monday's shootout loss to the Blues as the teams meet tonight in St. Louis. Our preview next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll receive $20 off of your first purchase. What time is it, Golick?
Game time. I'm awake. Game time.
VGK's losing streak falls to 4 games with Monday's shootout loss to the Blues in a rare home-and-home with these two teams. With the same team, VGK and the Blues will be battling at the Enterprise Center coming up tonight. Bruce Cassidy said that his team played well in pockets in their loss to St. Louis 5-4 on Monday. What do the Golden Knights need to clean up? Well, here's a list for you. I think it's a laundry list, Golick.
Only a 30-minute show, Tony.
Okay. They have to get off to an early lead. They need to sustain that lead. Boxing out. They worked on this past week, a couple of days ago. They need to clean up the slot area defensively. The Golden Knights, they have to avoid letting in late goals. Monday, 2 late goals, one of the first, one of the second periods. And those were both under 30 seconds to go. The Golden Knights have to finish off plays, and VGK needs better goaltending. Better goaltending. That's all. That's all they need to do, and then they might win a game here.
You made my job easy. You checked all the boxes. What I would say is going back to the Stanley Cup Coach Cassidy season, the Golden Knights didn't lose back-to-back games a whole lot. Even going back to that playoff run, I don't think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the Golden Knights lost back-to-backs against Dallas. That was the only back-to-back scenario that they lost in that playoff round. They did pretty well when they faced teams the second time in the regular season. So you expect VGK to be ready. And the only concern that I would have is all the things that Tony said. And I don't mean the Golden Knights doing all those things right, but sometimes when things are going rough, sometimes when you're in that funk, that's what where the Golden Knights are right now. They're in a funk, fine, whatever. You start overthinking all these things. You start gripping that stick a little tighter. You start thinking about boxing out. You start thinking about joining the rush. You start thinking about stopping the other team from scoring. And at some point you start over-analyzing instead of just reacting to what's in front of you. And this is something that happens in professional sports. It happens in hockey, it happens in football, it happens in soccer, baseball, whatever. It happens in all the sports. All the teams go through this. And kind of like our show yesterday, I think the bigger question for me is, yes, sure, everything that Tony just said a second ago, but Coach Cassidy, to a degree, foreshadowed complacency. What got him here, and then how are they going to get out of it? Coach Cassidy said it would be a tight, kind of defensive, low-scoring game. He feels that would do it. So is tonight that 2-1 victory that the Golden Knights need?
Did VGK clean up enough over the past couple of days? That is a big question. And again, I just think that there's, practice, practice, short practice, and players could be missing this game. So for VGK, I don't know if you saw Elliot Friedman, his 32 thoughts. Bad news for Team Sweden. Jacob Markstrom will miss some time. That according to Sheldon Keefe after getting hurt Wednesday against Boston. And Linus Ullmark's a question mark too, but of greater concern for VGK fans. William Karlsson could be missing the Four Nations face-off with what he says is a lingering injury.
Shock.
A lingering maintenance day to day. It was a maintenance day. Now he's out for what, a month? What's going to happen here?
I don't know.
Will he be on the ice? Will he be on the ice tonight?
Those are all good questions. I think Cassidy expected him to be on the ice, but Cassidy expected Nick Watt, a be back on the ice too. And I mean, now that we think about that, Nick Waugh situation was fluff, I think. But why I find that's what coaches do. Like, that's not a knock on Cassidy. That's just coach speak. We'll find out if we won't know if Carlson's on the plane or not. But if Carlson doesn't skate tonight, that'll tell you all you need to know. If Carlson doesn't skate tonight, I would seriously doubt he's skating Saturday in Dallas, and I would double down on the fact that he's probably not even on the trip. But a lingering injury, that would explain a lot. It really would, because Carlson is a better player than what we've seen over the last 8, 10, 12 games. You're tracking the scoreless streak.
14 games.
Okay. Tony is the number one source for William Karlsson's scoreless streak. He'll have that knowledge for you quicker than anybody else. But it would make sense. It would make sense as to why Karlsson's game is struggling a little bit. What is this lingering injury? I got no idea. Is it hand? I mean, I guess
same thing.
You had an idea.
The groin. It's the groin.
That wouldn't surprise me if that's what it is. It's lingering.
It's got to be. What else could be lingering? Like,
I would look at something with an arm or something like that. Maybe if he's like not winning faceoffs or anything like that. But that's really the most lingering situation: groin, lower body, ankle, whatever. So it's not chilling right now. It's not chilling anymore. And he did miss the first. Didn't he miss the first few games of the season as well?
Yes, absolutely.
So this could be something that just lingers much. We forget the Four Nations. Who gives?
They signed him to a 25-year contract, right? So sooner or later he's going to break down. No, seriously.
I don't think he's 30 years old yet. I think he's got a little time before that happens.
Oh, did they sign his kid yet? No,
not yet. Okay.
So also, Brett Howden,
actually. Karlsson's 32. I thought he was a little bit younger. Fair enough. And he still has this and 2 more seasons.
Years. He's got 15 more seasons on there on that contract, because him and Foley. So in any event, also VGK's Brett Howden missed time with an illness this past week. Cole Schwint, we know, is out. And I'm just wondering, so we talked about this a little bit yesterday because we could sort of sense that something was coming, is who's coming up from the farm? Ron Bjorg et al. Who else is going to be up?
Fair question. You'll hear some roster announcements today.
I was looking late last night for the news dump.
Ron Bjorg, Lazinski, I think, are probably A and B at this point. I mean, Silver Knights had a big victory. They had an overtime win, then they ran it back against Tucson, beat them 7-3, I believe, on Tuesday night. From now,
break up the Silver Knights.
Yeah, exactly. So the main candidates really are going to be a combination of Lazinski, Ron Bjorg, and then
Brisson, Friso.
Yeah, Brisson, I guess, is the last one. I
wish they would bring him up. That would be awesome.
It would be interesting. It would, now that you got the fourth line kind of intact, like if it was Ron Bjorg on that fourth line, and then you can get Brisson somewhere in the top 3 lines.
Showcase him for you talk about tradable assets.
No, this is definitely the right time for Brisson.
Yeah, definitely do that. And then for St. Louis, Philip Broberg had to be helped off the ice yesterday as he slid into the boards. So we might not be seeing him as well. So this could have a much different look this evening there in St. Louis. Isn't that crazy? Teams. I know, for both teams in just the span of 4 days. VGK, the one thing they really do have to focus on is they need to stop making those self-inflicted mistakes. And all season long, it has been turnover city for VGK. They've turned the puck over more this season than they have previously under Cassidy. Would you agree? I think so. I've never seen them turn the puck over this much.
In this run, absolutely. It's been bad, but, it wasn't that long ago. It was only, really at about that that Sharks game, things were going pretty well, right? Montreal beat the Golden Knights, but otherwise Montreal beat the Golden Knights. I think they cracked their streak then. The last game they lost before that was, I believe, that game in Edmonton when they just got blown out. They had a good run before that. So really the Golden Knights, dating back to about January the 9th, things have been going well. So we're talking a 2-week window from then to now. Yeah, a lot's been bad. It's been turnovers, the late goals, not getting that timely goaltending. I know, like I said, people were giving me a little bit of garbage online for making comments about Adin Hill not saving pucks that he's seeing. And every goalie will tell you that if they see the shot, and again, if it's a point blank shot, 12 feet away, fine, whatever. But if it's a shot that they can see from 15, 18, 20 feet out, there's a strong chance they're going to make that save, and most NHL goalies are going to make that save. And Aiden Hill's first 3 goals he let in were shots that he saw. They're good NHL shots. Like, let's make sure we're not, talking this is Pee Wee hockey or anything like that. But I would think in a regular circumstance, if one of those goes in, okay, fine. 3 of those go in, no, not acceptable. And Aiden will tell you that. And don't take it from me. Listen to Coach Cassidy. Coach Cassidy is the one who was very clear about what he feels the goaltending position has been getting the Golden Knights, not just against the Blues, but in the last 2 weeks in general. So that's, so we got goaltending, we got turnovers, we got
turnovers,
the 38-second list you started the show with. This is
fatigue. I forgot fatigue.
The Golden Knights are. Coach Cassidy talked about overanalyzing and stuff. Like, I wonder what the balance is. If you did this wrong, you did this wrong. If it's this long list to the point where the players are just covering their ears and tuning Cassidy out, or is it, guys, get your what together? You know how to play like a champion. Go win a game.
Yeah, imagine what it was like. Imagine what it was like breaking down the film of the St. Louis Blues game on Monday.
I'm not worried about the breakdown.
I'm
not worried about the breakdown. I'm worried about the presentation of the breakdown. I wonder, after Cassidy watches that game and probably throws a couple of his computer mice and breaks them and gets pissed off, I wonder how much of that goes down to the coaches and then how much goes down to the players. And if it's a spot like this where Cassidy is trying to dull the sword a little bit, terrible medieval pun right there, but if he's trying to dull the sword and just short practice on Tuesday after this rough game, that's telling me that Cassidy, I think, is reading the situation and trying not to.
Oh, good. Thank you for not
hard.
saying tea leaves. Thank you so much. Don't say tea leaves.
I'm not doing tea leaves.
We don't use
not
that
a shot
here.
pass.
So I was thinking about this. If Samsonov is between the pipes, that would mean that he would have started 3 of the last 4 VGK games. So if he is the starter in St. Louis, at what point, again, this to me it's not a must win, but you have to win. And you have to at least split this roadie back to back, St. Louis tonight, Dallas tomorrow. You have to split it.
And then Florida, and then Dallas again, and a surging Columbus Blue Jackets team who just beat the Leafs 5-1 last night in Toronto.
Fantilli with the
Hattie, absolutely.
Mom threw the hat. That was kind of cool.
Yes.
So in any event, though, how again will it be Samsonov? To me, this is a growing concern on the rotation, and you need the W, and then you take it from there. That's how I feel. It's got to be Samsonov, right? But 3 or 4.
It's got to be Samsonov, yes. And this is a spot where I think the Golden Knights would rather opt to run Aiden Hill out for like 4 games in a row to get his game back. We saw this early this season. We saw this last season multiple times with both goalies, Aiden and Logan, where they give both goalies a long time to get their game in order. They give them 4 starts in a row, 5 starts in a row, 6 starts in a row, I think in Logan's circumstance last year. But with the 4 nations coming up, I don't think that's going to happen, Tony. I think they're not going to admit this, and maybe I'm wrong, and fine, so be it if I am. But it's a hill I'm willing to die on. I think they are trying to save Aiden Hill a little bit and it's not just saving him for the 4 nations. It's saving the extra mileage for coming out after the 4 nations.
Yeah. No, great point. Great point, Golick. And then tonight, VGK's got to stop Brady Shen, who's on a heater, 4-game point streak, 6 goals, 11 points, last 11 games. And for VGK, the hot hand again remains Tomas Hertl, 10 points, 6 goals, 6 games, 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists.
Does VGK win tonight if Hertl or Dorofeev does not score a goal?
No, not a chance. Doro now with 20 goals to lead this team. 20 goals, not on our bingo card that he would be the leading goal scorer for the VGK, but we knew that somebody had to step up. A lot of fellas have stepped up, and we could talk about that during that 8-day break for 4 nations. Cannot wait for that. Just cannot. I mean, what a waste of time for the NHL. And now, of course, to further give Canada the edge, all these players are going to start to get injured, back out. All sorts of things are going to happen. One more post of Jack Eichel looking like bitter beer face, and he's out of the 4 nations. He's out of Four Nations too. Coming up next, what are VGK's tradable assets? We'll talk about that as we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Make sure that you check out Gametime. Gametime Picks curation makes it easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature will show you the total up front. There are no surprise fees at checkout. And if you have all-in pricing, you have to make sure to turn on this feature. So they have seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app right before you buy. The lowest price guarantee or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. They've got all sorts of terrific coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets, any kind of tickets today with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKDOWNNHL, $20 off of your first purchase. That's what you will receive. Terms apply again. Create an account and use that redeem code LOCKDOWNNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. What time is it, Golick?
Game time. I'm awake.
Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick you're rather spry today, from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast. On Friday, that's tomorrow already, line up WTFs. I'm sure you'll have some really fun ones for us. And then on Saturdays, sometimes it is the Chris times Chris Jr. show, that YouTube exclusive. It's not very far off right now, right? So March the 7th, the NHL trade deadline already 43 days away. So it's time to start thinking about some of the trade pieces. There truly is, right? VGK, 7 draft picks, no first rounders. They've got a second rounder, I think, 2 thirds, whatever. And you have to wonder first, will VGK make a deal way before the deadline? I think at the Four Nations, there's going to be a lot of discussions with the GMs, right? They're going to talk about trade deals and all that. So I think it's going to really heat up around then, mid-February.
Yeah, I mean that's the winter meetings, right? Those are the winter meetings, I guess, like baseball. All the GMs will be together. Find a couple of the hotel bars maybe near the arena and be a fly on the wall and find the tea leaves. There you go, Tony. You like that? Golden Knights, you hit the trades. I don't know how far ahead you can trade draft picks. I'm looking on cap wages and it lists draft picks all the way through 2027. The Golden Knights have all their seconds intact for the next 3 years. They have their thirds for 26 and 27, and then after that, it doesn't matter a whole lot. They would have had a first round pick in 2026, but they made the deal. They made the trade for Tomas Hertl.
Hertl, right? Yeah.
Which basically made the conditional pick going to the Flames and the Hannafin deal be VGK's 2026 first round pick. So Golden Knights have a first round pick in 2027, but like I said, I don't know if they can trade that far in advance. So someone can let me know about that. So those are the draft picks. As far as the VGK rostered forwards, I'm talking VGK regulars, I don't see him trading a single forward off this line, off of this. I mean, I guess it would be a really weird scenario if they did trade like a Brett Howden or something like that after signing him to that deal, but that would be that's just poor form if you extend a player long term and then you trade him like that. So I seriously doubt anything like that would happen. On the blue line, this is interesting, right? First of all, you've got Nick Hague, who's going to be an RFA in 25-26. We saw his situation play out for as long as it took him to get that deal in the Stanley Cup year, missed the first game. That's an interesting one. Hague is going to want a pretty solid contract, I think. Can BGK afford it? Well, it depends on what happens at the trade deadline, I guess. Ben Hutton's UFA, he's simply he's the throw-in as part of a deal.
He'll be a throw-in.
If VGK for some reason swaps another defenseman, Ben Hutton becomes the swap. Ben Hutton becomes okay, here's a player to get in your lineup. You figure out what you want to do with him in 2026.
I'm kind of surprised. I know, well, again, it speaks to the health of VGK. Kind of surprised though he has not played as much as I thought he might this season. As a fill-in, give somebody a break, what have you.
And that's the thing. I mean, you wonder he and Keaton Korczak. You wonder same situation. Korczak is not developing at all right now. He's in that spot where he's done with his RFA stuff. He's a bona fide professional player now, and if he were to get sent down, he has to clear waivers. He would likely wind up leaving the Golden Knights if that happened. But Korczak's development is being stunted, for lack of a better term. Stumped. That's a better word. Stumped for better term. But that said, Korczak is a very tradable asset, and you do wonder if Whitecloud or Haig's name would come up in a possible trade. Without having a first-round pick to dangle, at least for a few years, that makes things a little bit more complicated. So you look at an NHL-ready defenseman. VGK has 8 defensemen that can go in and get the job done. Going down to Henderson, Brisson, Cataford.
Everyone's expendable in the AHL, right?
No, that's fair. That's very fair. That's the short version. Everyone's expendable in the NHL too, as far as VGK is concerned. But yeah, I mean, as far as like tradable pieces that would get something, Brisson number 1. You look at a Cataford, Sapovaloff. That's another one that would get some attention as well. You wonder. I don't know if Cal Burke would get a lot of attention. He might. He's 27 years old.
Throw in.
Exactly. So the well is somewhat dry here. So VGK would focus on making some magic happen with a second-round draft pick. They would make more magic happen with another draft pick to another organization in a deal that includes some type of cap retention. Golden Knights, they have avoided having anyone on LTIR, and IR has not been very busy as well. The Golden Knights are looking at $4.9 million in deadline cap space available. $4.9 million. It's a good player. It's a good player.
Did you see my
end of story?
Did you see my Rangers? $23 million cap space is what's anticipated here. That's what it said. $23 million. I looked it up. They have to land JT Miller's the hot name. I'm sure VGK will take a run at JT Miller too, because they like that shiny new old car, I should say. They do like that.
Yeah, I mean, is Miller a center or a winger? I guess that's my first. I mean, he's a center. He'll fit right in, I guess, Tony, right?
Yeah, he can fit right in.
JT Miller's current, I mean, he's $8 million. And again, there's a way to make that happen. The issue with JT Miller isn't the fact that he's $8 million. Money doesn't matter in VGK land. It's the fact that he's under contract.
No cap. There's no cap here. There's no cap.
He's under contract until 2030. So JT Miller.
Oh, so here's the deal. Sign JT Miller and extend Carlson to 2034.
Let's see here.
Oh, check this out too. Montreal. Check this out. Montreal, 12 picks. Like if you need a third partner that might want to give up some assets, Montreal this year, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 12 total picks. Wow.
The Canadians are
they get going. They're on the rise. Yeah.
They have the assets not to be a good team, not to be a Stanley Cup team. They have the assets in place to become a dynasty in 5 or 6 years. With what they have now, with their players they also have in the American League and coming up, and then the draft picks. If they play this right, they can be a dynasty. They can hang 4 banners in a 12-year span. I mean, they got that much happening right now.
They need one.
I mean,
they need one in the next 12 years.
Canada needs one. Real fast, I know, like JT Miller. He's a center. That's the other thing. So William Karlsson for JT Miller and a second-round pick. Tony, let's go. Who says no? Who says no?
No. Yeah. No. Other tradable assets. Bill Foley. Yeah. Foley will block that deal. I mean, you can get rid of some of these guys, the Schwintz, the Holtzes. Come on.
Oh, yeah, of course. That stuff. But again, what's it worth?
Who wants it? Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why Brisson does have some value. And I actually love the idea of
it's Mitch Marner time.
Mitch Marner, geez, what was his deal worth? He got a whopper. He got a whopper of a
12?
deal.
It wasn't 12. I forget. He made a ton.
We talked about Marner in the offseason. There was
It's time to start
9, but he is UFA.
Oh,
he is UFA. So, but Toronto's going to try and make a Stanley Cup run. So I don't see that happening. I don't. I think he resigns at that point, or if he just walks at the end of the year, that's the spot that they're in. Like Logan Thompson in Washington. Can't trade him. Having difficulty getting a deal worked out. You can't. You just roll with it at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And again, that's March the 7th is the trade deadline. And of course, this is like our hot stove trade deadline show, right? Sort of, in a way.
I mean, to a degree, I'm sure we'll hit the horse a little bit harder later, but
we'll
it's
be doing
a
it.
start.
We'll have plenty of time during Four Nations. We'll be making.
Golden Knights need to find a scoring winger. End of story.
End of story. And I say they need some grit too. End of story. End of story.
I'm with you.
Coming up next, our locks of the night and our predictions. As again, VGK travels to St. Louis tonight, looking to break out of this losing streak. Back with more right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Stanley Cup final, the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. And the same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike a lot of the other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even want to qualify for same-day coverage of up to $5 million. No medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you would think. You could get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for less, for you and for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Welcome back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick. We appreciate you tuning in, making us your first listen every day. And of course, around the globe, we definitely appreciate our everydayers. Tomorrow, WTF Day. Get on board. I know there's a lot of sass out there. Probably most of it is aimed towards Golick. Once in a while, they'll start to give me some heat. And then on Saturday, sometimes we've got the Chris Jr. show. I thought that St. Louis was still playing at the Checker Dome. Do you remember the Checker Dome? They haven't been there since 1984. I think.
I'm at the arena after that. What do they call it? I don't know. Whatever.
Key Arena, Key Center, Key Arena. Yeah, wasn't it?
I never been there for hockey, but I saw Pearl Jam there like in 2003.
Isn't it the Key? It was the Key, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Key Arena wasn't Key Arena in Seattle?
Yeah, that's in Seattle. That's
Scotiabank. No, that's Toronto.
Yeah, it's Toronto. Didn't you see?
Bank?
This is the Enterprise Arena today. Enterprise Center there.
Yeah,
And do you remember the Checker Dome though?
No.
You need to Google Checker Dome because the front of that building was rather sick. I like that place. It was kind of cool. So from back in the day. Okay, so VGK, I feel tonight. Man, this is a toss-up game. Do you have the number on this game tonight? I think it's a toss-up game. I haven't looked. I say Blues 120.
Small favorite. Let's see.
120, 122.5. They are minus 122 and a hook.
If you like the Blues, wait because the money's going to come in on Vegas if the odds are close.
Okay, but
all right. So here we go. The Vegas Golden Knights are minus 151. The Blues are plus 131.
Wait, come on, for real?
That's what I got locally, which means that's what everything's going to be within 5 cents.
The do factor game. I might have to change this pick, but okay, I'm going to go with VGK. They definitely need this win. They need a win. Like I said, 1 out of 2 on there. They need to split this road trip at the very least. And I think tonight they will get that win. I've got them 4-3 VGK. Again, Shea Theodore has had the hot stick. I've got to go with him. He had 4 assists in Monday's loss, and I think he's going to break through and score a goal. And I'll go with Nick Waugh. Wow, that's really interesting. That's that line is not what I expected at all. What did you
No, I didn't
expect?
expect that either. Maybe I was a little off when I said close to a toss up or VGK like a
I
minus
thought it'd
110
be
or something like
pretty
that.
close.
But
Yeah, I thought it'd be
I
a
don't know.
tight line.
I
What
mean,
team are they watching? These odds makers.
I don't know. I mean, hockey is going to be determined by the pool, and there's not a lot of action. So, I don't know. For me, I think there's questions coming into this game. I wrote down Howden. He might not even play. What am I doing, ding dong? There you go. There's a question right there. I answered my own question.
You answered your question with the
So
question.
many,
That's good.
so many questions coming into this game. Carlson at best has a lingering injury. If he plays, he has a lingering injury. That's been lingering him from playing productive hockey lately. Brett
Well,
Howden.
one of those lingering injuries was they had to separate him from the conjoining twin, and Marcia so they had to separate those.
It's
Sorry.
lingering. It's lingering. It's
That's
lingering.
lingering. That's lingering. Sorry, that was bad. Okay,
No,
go
you're
ahead.
good. You're good. So listen, you have questions, right? First of all, Cole Schwintz week to week. He can't even be the call up in
What's
the
he going to
helper
do
right now.
anyway? Come on. Cole Schwintz.
He could take up space and be productive in a defensive effort. That's what he could do.
Okay.
Howden is a question mark. William Karlsson is a question mark at best, I think.
They really do want to scratch Holtz in the worst way. They do want
Well,
to
that's the
scratch.
thing. So you now are going to look at possibly 2 call-ups, which means you're going to have an irrelevant fourth line out there, depending on how it shakes out.
to the top line or line 2?
No, that line actually is intact, I think.
Okay.
I think that becomes line 3 is what's going to happen. I think that's line 3, and Lazinski centers a fourth line with the Peanut Vendor and Chance or something like that.
What about so Kolasar will center which line?
No, Kolasar's not centering a line.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Too many questions. I'm going 4-2 Blues, and also I like the value from a betting angle on the Blues.
4-2 Blues. Yeah.
McNabb and Kolasar. I'm picking those two because I think if there is production from some combination of Theodore, Dorofeev, Hurdle, the Golden Knights win, and I don't think that's going to happen tonight. I don't. So 4-2 Blues. It's a full on funk, and VGK is probably going to ride this up until the Four Nations at this point.
Yeah, VGK. One of the stats that stood out: 6 consecutive games, right, with the power play goal. Right.
That's nice. So
that's been
good.
Pretty good. So
Absolutely.
take a dive like
they've
they
given up as many penalties and penalty kill goals too in that time, but whatever.
Carlson can't trip over his own stick, and they'll call a penalty tonight if that happens. You know that, right? You know that's how he draws penalties.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, please line up and bring some heat for WTF. It's always fun. That's our favorite show of the week, and it's also leading into the weekend. So Golick likes that a lot, right? That whiskey's not been touched in a while there.
No, it needs to be.
Yeah,
it needs to be.
That's what I figured. It's a good weekend for that. Don't forget as well.
And why?
Sometimes we got the Chris and Chris Jr. show. That's the Mystique show because you never know when it's going to pop up. You just don't know.
It's a mirage.
It is a mirage. Thank you so much. Again, for my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas, and we'll see you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights. And please take care.